Hey guys, Dr. Stephanie here, and today we're going to go through some hip mobility exercises. So there's a lot of different hip mobility exercises. There's a lot of talk about hip mobility lately, but hip mobility basically is the ability of your hip to move through its entire range of motion. So it's not necessarily flexibility, although flexibility and mobility are similar. It's really, can your hip move through its whole available range of motion? So it involves some strength as well. So we're going to go through 4 of my favorite exercises, and these are great exercises to start with, especially if you haven't done any hip mobility before. They're pretty simple and easy for really anyone to do, even if you're a beginner. So we're going to go through all 4 of these. You can just follow along with me. So we're going to start on our hands and knees. And if you need a little extra cushion under your knees, or if you need to do this on a bed, you can. So the first is called hip cars, and it's basically controlled articular rotations. So this just means we're moving this hip through its full range of motion. So in order to do this, we're going to take one hip, we're going to lift our leg up like this, point our knee out to the side, bring it around and back down. And then we'll go the opposite direction. So bring the knee up, out, around, and back down. So we're just kind of making a circle, but we're letting our hip move through its whole range of motion. So we're going to go up and out and back down again. And then same thing the other direction. So that was 2. We're going to do 5 on each side. So we're going to go up, around, and back down. Up, around, and back down. And that's the thing about hip mobility. Do it nice and slow, and you don't have to do 30 repetitions like if you're doing strength training. You can just do it nice and slow and controlled, and you can just do 5 to 10 to 15 repetitions depending on the exercise. But more is not necessarily better. Okay, this is number 5. And back down. All right, now we'll do the same thing on the other leg. So up, out to the side, and back down. And then the opposite direction here. And number 2 here. And try not to lean too much to the side on the other side as we do this. Just really getting that hip moving all around. This is 4. And then we'll do 1 more here. And back down. Okay, so that really got that hip joint moving. And so for this next one, we're going to do hip internal and external rotation. So it's important that our hips rotate as well, not just flex and extend. So for this one, we're doing kind of a windshield wiper. So we're going to move our feet to one side and then move them all the way to the other side and to this side. And you may think, or you may have heard, that this is hard on your knees, but this is not bad for your knees at all. It's not going to do any damage to your knees. Kneeling is okay for your knees. It's not going to hurt anything. Now, if you have a little sensitivity in your knees when you're kneeling, then I would recommend getting like a foam pad to place under your knees. Or you can also do this on a bed or a soft surface, just to give your knees a little extra cushion. But you want to go nice and slow on this one too. Rotating your feet out as far as you can, and then rotating them the other way. Rotate and rotate. Rotate, rotate, and rotate. And let's do 1 more. Rotate here and rotate back here. All right, next one, we're going to grab onto a kettlebell and come up into kind of a tall kneeling like this. We're going to put one foot out to the side and have our foot kind of pointed away. It can kind of be at an angle here. It can be straight out to the side. You also don't have to do this with a kettlebell, but I think it just helps get a little extra stretch here. So you're just gonna hold the kettlebell in both hands. And again, if you need to kneel on a pillow or a bed or a foam pad, you can. And you just wanna kind of rock to the side here and then come back and rock and come back and kind of pause for a couple seconds here and back. I like this one because it really opens up the hips, kind of stretches out those adductors there. You're just pausing for a couple seconds here. Come out here and pause. Just go as far as you can comfortably here. You should really feel a stretch in here. Come out here. And let's do 2 more. I think the weight just kind of accentuates the stretch, so you should feel a little bit deeper there. All right, now we're gonna come to the other side. And same thing, we're just gonna kind of lean and come back in, lean, and pausing for a couple seconds, kind of when you're out here, and come back. Pause and come back. Just go as far as you can comfortably. Right here. Kind of lean in, opening up those hips, stretching out your adductors there. And just really holding this weight. And you'll feel it if you try it without the weight and with the weight. You'll feel how the weight just kind of helps you get into a little bit of a deeper stretch. All right, let's do 2 more. Okay, let's put the weight down, and then now we're gonna lie on our back. And place your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. And knees bent, feet on the floor. What you're gonna do is rotate both knees to the same side as far as you can comfortably. And then bring them back up and rotate to the other side. You really wanna kind of push those knees to the floor. Pausing for a second or two there. You can also take your hands and kind of push down. Get a little bit of a deeper stretch. It's kind of just push here. And then slowly rotate back to the other side and push. And rotate and push. Nice and slow, just really rotating those hips. Rotate and press. Really press down and just go as far as you can comfortably. So if you can't get your knees all the way to the ground, that's okay. Just go as far as you can. Some of these moves can be a little uncomfortable, especially if you've never done them before, but they shouldn't be painful. Just going back and forth and back. And forth. Let's do 2 more to each side. And last one. Okay, so those are some just hip mobility moves that you can add to your routine. You can do those daily if you want to. That'll just really get your hips moving better. And if you have better hip mobility, usually your back and your hips and your knees feel better. So try those, and hopefully those help you feel a little bit better.